Okay, well, do you want to start by introducing yourself? What is your name? What
Sure.
do you do?
Sure.
Anything else you'd like
Yeah,
to
yeah.
share, just to intro?
Yeah. So greetings and blessed love. My name is Selwyn Selly Patterson. My mother called me Selvin. That's what she wanted to register as my name, Selvin. But because in those days the parents didn't get to go to Chateaubriand, because in Chateaubriand you have to go and register. So the parents will give someone to register. By the time they reach to Chateaubriand, they forget the name. So they registered me as Selwyn. But my mother called me Selvin until the day she died. All right? Now, I'm the seventh of 8 children, and I was born here, right here in Rosal. I grown up here and with the culture strong, as in maple, boom jump, yeah, the French style of jump, yeah, quadrille, the tap, the marble. So I grew up knowing the culture. And as a boy growing up, my father used to be a cane cutter. So he will travel to America, and while traveling to America, they will bring back sound system in those days. So they will bring back music with mic, microphone. And then because of that, we grew up in music. We grew up in music, knowing Bob Marley, Bunny Wailer, Peter Tosh, most of the great singers, because they will buy the LP, the 45, and then it turn over to the tapes. It turn over to the tapes. And because of that, we grew up like a discotheque. And then we start to have groups like the Scout, that in those days Scout was very strong. And we used to have concerts. So as a little boy, with the Scout, we have concerts. So you have to learn songs, you have to learn to perform and do plays on stage. And knowing our culture, knowing what our lifestyle used to be, that is how I get involved in trying to know my history and trying to know our people and how to live with our people and how to lead our people into a new direction. So I will explain all of that when we go along. Yeah?
Great. Just to start with a bit of like historical overview, I was wondering if you could, how would you explain St. Vincent history? How would you summarize it concisely to someone who's not heard about it before?
Right. So St. Vincent and the Grenadines was, I will say, rediscover. Because first, set of people to come here, as I was explaining to you earlier, there are some markings, some stones, the 13 stones in Peterbedel that is marked, that we call the 13 stones, that depicts the face of animals. We are talking about baboon. We are talking about, even one of the stones look like South Africa. Yeah? We are talking about hippopotamus. But you're seeing a chair and a table that is there, cut from stones. That is not the work of the Kalinago. That is not the work of the Garifuna. They were not stone cutters. So we know the Tahinos were stone cutters. So we can go as far as back as thinking that those work was from the Tahinos. But then we have the Arawaks came up from the Nikotuko River coming up from Venezuela. And then we have the Kalinago, which is the yellow people coming over. And because the yellow was more dominant than the Arawaks, because in our history they told us the Arawaks were friendly people. So the Kalinago kill the men and take the women to wives. Then we have Abu Bakr from Mali coming over in the 1300s. And his marking is at Bukumabe. Yeah? Coming over because he leave Mali because he wanted to explore more lands. And leave his brother with Mali. Yeah? Because he sent ship and they didn't come back. So he came for himself. Yeah? So when they said to us that there was a shipwreck of the runaway slaves from the coast of Bequia and populate St. Vincent, we can question it because we have the Malians came over and black people were here long before Christopher Columbus, and Christopher Columbus himself didn't came here, right? So we have the first colony from the European, which is the French. They came over and they settled here. Then the British, because St. Vincent was a safe haven for the Garifuna. Now when we say Garifuna is the mixture between the Kalinago, between the Arawaks and the blacks. Yeah? So we are talking about 3 nations that produce a nation. And because the Garifuna was dominant, the French started to cause a war between the Garifuna and the Yellow Carib. They wanted them to fight. But then the Kalinago realized that it's their offspring, so they didn't fight. But then the British came, and the British wanted to take over because St. Vincent was a safe haven. They signed treaty for that. Yeah? And they started the first Carib War, and then they were not successful. And then they start the second Carib War. So all these areas that we are here now, is areas that the British walk to go and fight the Yellow Carib, the Garifuna. Chateauneuf fought from this area up to Kingstown in the Second War, and Duvalier from the volcano go around to Rabuka, and so on. Then they exile. After the British won the war, they exile over 5,000 Garifuna to a place called Baliso, and then to Rattan Island, 2,000 people, because over 2,000 people die in Baliso. But then what about the persons who run away? They run to the volcano. And then the British said, from Rabuka to Walelabo, that is the boundary. So they take all these lands after they were successful in the war. And then they were living, for those who were living on the volcano. Remember, we were not talking English. We were talking Garifuna language. Yeah? But then we were forbidden to speak Garifuna. So we have to listen to, and they didn't teach us the English. So we have to listen to what Massa was saying and then put it to our language, incorporate it with our language. So that's why they say we are speaking broken English. Yeah? But then it's so unique that if you have to bring a foreigner here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and he will be here for many years, a Trinidadian, a Bajan, a Jamaican, he will still speak Jamaican. He will still speak Bajan. But if you take a Vincentian and carry him to Trinidad and carry him to Jamaica, he's going to speak the way that they are speaking. That is so unique. So St. Vincent and the Grenadines, in 1902 now, the people who are living on the volcano, you have the eruption. So that's when they moved down to this place. So explaining to tell people about the beginnings of how we start. We start by knowing these things. Their markings are all around us. And the good thing is that we can go and see them. Yeah? And know that these people passed through here before Columbus. Yeah?
Could we focus for a minute on Joseph Chatoyer? Could you explain in
So Joseph Chatoyer was.
Could you explain like what did he do, and do you consider him a national hero?
Yes, I consider Joseph Chatoyer as a hero because he defended the customs of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Now, they didn't call it St. Vincent, they call it Urame. Yeah? Rainbow Island. Because you can see some lovely rainbow still here. Yeah? Home of the blessed. Joseph Chatoyer, you know, they have a park out at Rabuka, you know, as Joseph Chatoyer Park. But according to the rise and fall of the Black Carib, Joseph Chatoyer was living in this side. Yeah? Because the history say that he marched from this side up to Barrowley, where there was a French town. Barrowley was a French town. And we can still see the barracks that is there from the French. Yeah? All the way up to Dorchester Hill. He was burning the plantation, but he wasn't killing anyone. Yeah? But Joseph Chatoyer was the chief of all chief. So he was chief here, and he was chief in Dominica, where you have Kalinago. Because we don't say Carib, because Carib is a bad word. They call us Carib because it's derived from cannibals. After we defend the country, they call us Carib. But he was the chief of all chief. So he was able to negotiate with the French, you know, and he was able to defend St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Dominica.
Can we go back?
Mm-hmm.
Could you start with Joseph Chatoyer was able to defend?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So Joseph Chatoyer was able to defend St. Vincent and the Grenadines and also Dominica because he was the chief of all chief. He was the chief here, he was the chief in Dominica, because those two colonies were colonies that they signed a treaty that it should remain in its natural habitat. But because the British was looking for lands to plant their sugar cane and new lands, they came to these parts. And Joseph Chatoyer was able to defend. After he fought from this side up to Dorchester Hill, and Duvalley from that side to Dorchester Hill, they said to us in a history that he asked for a sword fight and he was killed. But one of the historians said that he died face down, that he was called for a peace treaty. Yeah? So you're hearing conflicting history, you know? So which one to believe? But we know that he was killed. So after he was killed, they round up the Garifuna and exiled them to Baliso. Yeah? Now Baliso is still a place where no inhabitants is living. That's how hard it was. And they carry, as I was explaining, they carry over 5,000 Garifuna there. And only 2,000 plus remaining. Over 2,000 people dead in a space of 4 months. There were some who wanted to swim back to Urame. There was some who killed themselves. But those that remain, they exiled them to Rattan Island. And they say if anybody survived from Rattan Island, then... but then from Rattan Island, they went over to Honduras, to Belize. And now most of them are living in United States. Big colony in United States. Before you came here, I have James Lovell, who is one of the renowned Garifuna and a musician, and often come here to St. Vincent every August to have 1 month of teaching the language. So he was writing to me a while ago to said that they are coming this year again, and they want some youths from Rose Hall to join them so that they could teach them the language, teach them the dance and singing, you know. So that is something we often participate in it, and so that is something we look forward for.
You mentioned that the original name for St. Vincent was like
Urame, yes.
What does that mean?
Home of the blessed. Yes. I believe that's home of the blessed.
The rainbows?
Rainbow Island.
Okay.
Because you can see a lot of rainbow within, even when it's not raining. Yeah, but it's because of his multi-island state, you know, and so on also. But you can see a lot of rainbow in it as well. Yeah. So when it's raining or when it's not raining, you will see the rainbow. Yeah, and so on. So, but St. Vincent is named after a saint from England. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
That was really good. I'm now going to